Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. This is a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist, and I am also the father of two ADHD children, and I married into a whole family full of ADHDers, some diagnosed, some not. And so I have learned about ADHD both professionally and personally. And that's why I'm doing this show. And what I'm trying to do, thank you, my audio engineer is telling me I'm on, which is always good. I hate it when I do this and there's no sound coming out. Okay, today, this is actually a carryover from the last session where, talking about how to control emotions. Before I was talking about resilience in general. And one of the key players in resilience is being able to control your emotions and feelings. And we all know that with ADHDers, that's a sometime thing. Uh, the thing about emotions that's important to recognize is that emotions are by and large based on the way you think about things. It's not just something that just descends from above and all of a sudden you're angry or depressed or whatever. All emotions basically are related to the evaluation you make of your situation, your life, yourself personally, all that sort of thing. And some of those are things you've learned or were trained to believe from very long ago. So, I mean, all of us have had some acquaintance with parents for all the best reasons in the world, maybe teach you something that isn't in your best interest long term. Like, who do you think you are? Uh, yeah, you don't want a kid who's a braggart and obnoxious and all that stuff, but it's nice to have a positive feeling about yourself and your potential and your behavior instead of worrying if you're getting above your station in life or something like that. Okay, so just in general for this purposes, we're going to be talking about what is called cognitive behavior therapy, which is one of the primary schools of psychotherapy. And fortunately for all of us here, it is one of the easier ones to at least absorb the basic concepts of. It's not like Freud or any of the other neo-Freudians, uh, and it's not about intense behavioral analysis. It is about basically recognizing that there's a relationship between thoughts and behaviors and feelings. All those are related. Okay, you can't always tell exactly which one is in the driver's seat at the time, but for most of us, we have a favorite bad emotion. Some of us are big on anger. Some of us are big on fear. Some of us are big on uh, depression, sadness. We're constantly fighting that. Uh, and we all have those feelings based on the way we think about things. And some of those thoughts are so long standing that they're basically a belief system. I believe this is the way the world is, and nothing you say is going to change my mind about that. But negative thoughts are related to negative feelings. You learn what you and when the job is in doing this kind of therapy. And by the way, this is not going to make you a psychologist, but I'm going to give you enough of the basic assumptions of this that you can likely make your family life a little easier and help your child as well, because it's important to know you're in control. And that's one of the things cognitive behavior therapy does, is it gives you ways to control things. ways to control your basic thought patterns uh, and therefore control your emotions. So the other good thing about this therapy is that it's focused on current stuff. If you feel bad, you're feeling bad. Say you're feeling depressed. You're feeling depressed because of the way you're thinking at this moment, and it may be a carryover for decades of feeling and thinking the same way, but at the moment, the thoughts you're having are the ones that are driving that current emotion. And this is one of those things that you learn the basic assumptions about, and then you can practice over and over and over again until you get good at it and good at recognizing your thought patterns and changing them. And that becomes the big deal that you have to do. To do cognitive behavior therapy, it's not done until you change those patterns. I mean, a whole bunch of it is about recognizing them, learning to recognize them. And, honestly, people have a lot of trouble just with the basic assumptions that my thoughts control my emotions because they come so fast. You're not even aware of what you're doing, what you're thinking. I mean, the exception is probably anger. If you people are angry, they usually are not shy about sharing what they're thinking about the situation or the person that they're angry at. But the more gentle emotions, shall we say, the anxiety ones, the depression ones, the I'm not good enough ones, all those things are related, are harder to get to. But we have layers of thinking. There's some that we're really aware of, that sort of constant flow that goes through your mind all the time, and then there are the ones that are a little deeper that you don't really think about. It might even not, and you might not even recognize how they pay a whole bunch. They play a big role in your life without you even being aware that that's what you're doing. So a lot of times working with this stuff is like peeling an onion. You have to get one layer and then you got another layer you got to get to, and so on. So, there are things you need to do, techniques, and I'll go into some of them uh, before you can say you have taught enough that you have that whoever you're teaching has control. But they're okay. The biggie is what's called cognitive restructuring. That is recognizing the exaggerated, because it's usually not something. If you're looking at the video, you won't see what your brain is telling you. You will see a much tamer example of it. And so that exaggeration, that way you take what was said in the interaction and make it into this humongous nightmarish temper tantrum or whatever, uh, is because you have an exaggerated belief system that says, "Oh, he's trying to take advantage of me. Everybody takes advantage of me. It's not fair. Why does everybody take advantage of me?" That kind of thing. And what you've got to do is what's called cognitive restructuring. Is first you become aware of what the emotion or what the thought is, and then you can link it to the emotion, and then you can go about saying, okay, now what's the reality here? What if I were watching the videotape of what just happened? Would I agree with your conclusions? And then you say, because almost all extreme emotions are caused by extreme inaccurate thinking about that situation. And ADHD kids, they're running around with their hair on fire all the time, if they're hyperactive type at least. And it's hard to recognize that a lot of the time they're feeling uncertain and like they're not good enough, and they don't know why they keep getting into trouble and all those sorts of things. So you need to, we'll talk about that more next time, because this has become a very complicated kind of presentation. But the idea is that cognitive restructuring is the main key that makes something cognitive behavior therapy. Okay, and that is basically learning to identify the actual thought patterns that are underneath the surface. Okay, and that takes some time and some energy. And the next thing is some kind of knowledge that emotions are a power. They are your body is generated the kinds of changes in your body that make it ready to either take action or run away or hide in place or something. And that's one of the things, because it's a behavioral activation. It's a change in your muscle tone. It's a change in your respiration rate. It's all these things change because you're getting ready to take action. Well, one of the simplest things to do to get control again is to actually take some action. And that's not by punching anybody in the nose or anything. That's by doing some push-ups, doing some jumping jacks, doing some squats, going for a walk, uh, shooting hoops, or whatever your thing is. But it's something that's physical and it takes a little energy. And that is a way of diminishing your emotion, and so you can get control of it again. And another thing that is important to know about are different ways of what we used to call relaxation training, and because we couldn't say meditation back in the day, because if you said meditation, people got facial tics and any of that East Indian stuff. I don't. But relaxation training is simply a series of techniques that help you reduce your arousal level down to a relaxed, comfortable state. There are all kinds of them. I mean, pretty much every culture that's ever lived on this little planet have had a series of relaxation techniques. Sometimes they call them meditation. Sometimes they there are all kinds of names for them, and the idea is not so much that you know every name, but the idea is that they're all techniques that are designed rather to reduce your activation level, to reduce your arousal level, to reduce how much emotion your body is, or how much your uh, body is getting ready to take action. Okay, controls your emotions, helps you slow down a little bit. And these are these could be another show we do. I've done from time to time some things about some basic breathing focus sorts of things, but if you most people who like I've been a certified hypnotherapist in my past life. Um, I I don't do it as much as I used to anymore because it kind of gets boring after a while. Deeper and deeper, more and more. Anyway, that's but it is helpful. It is effective. It does work, and it's trainable. Okay. Nowadays, I mean, back in the day, I used to dictate cassette tapes. If many of you don't remember what a cassette tape is, ask your grandparents. But I used to, go have a patient come in for a session, and I would dictate a relaxation tape or a hypnosis tape, and just give it to them on their way out the door. Nowadays, there are all kinds of free relaxation or meditation programs that are on the Your Friendly Neighborhood App Store, and but a lot of them are very effective, and uh, some of them are a little not so much. But uh, come to think of it, I will include a list of the one, or at least some of the ones I enjoy, and I'm scheduling myself for a whole bunch of stuff here. But the idea, basically is you have some focus, some way you focus your energy that allows your body to do what it naturally wants to do if it's not getting ready for an emergency, and that's kind of relax and calm down and help uh, help yourself become a little more contemplative, if you will, be able to analyze the situation, da 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 da. And like I said, there are all kinds of techniques. And some of the things you need to know is that everybody has a primary representational technique. That is, some of us are primarily visual, some of us are primarily tactile, for want of a better word, and some of us are primarily linear, logical kinds of folks. Words mean a lot more to us. Okay, there's no particular advantage over any one of them. Although for ADHDers, we find that a lot of them are primarily visual spatial, and they do an excellent job as long as they can see it. And they don't do quite as well if we want to make them read it or if we want to lecture them about it. So just understand that. Uh, because, if you pick a technique, you're a visual person and you pick a technique that's primarily words, you're probably not going to be that happy about it or find it that effective. That's one of the things that's a weakness in a lot of the group or mass produced kinds of relaxation programs. You don't know how to select the ones that you like. You just hear from somebody, oh, this is great stuff. And then you find out it doesn't work so well for you. But so if you find the ones that work for the way you see the world and think about the world and visualize the world or even feel the world, the tactile people, you want to be moving something with your hands. And a lot of ADHDers are like that as well. They don't tell me, don't lecture me, don't show me the video. Just let me watch somebody actually do it. Okay, so that's the relaxation techniques. And then the last one is just more general problem solving, and that's showing and teaching a problem solving procedure. I mean, there are certain things that we all have learned about. Oh, we don't know how to do this, so how are we going to solve that problem? Of course, nowadays most of us most of us used to go to Google. Now we go to AI probably, and but however you do that, I mean, there's a way of analyzing the situation, figuring out what your resources are, how to get the information you need, review the information you need, figure out if you need some new equipment or if you're good. And with the way you've already got everything you need to do it, then it's just a scheduling kind of thing, and so on. I mean, that's just a real rough view of the problem solving process, but you ought to recognize and teach your kids that that's an important thing for them to understand, that problems, it's not all, I mean, they kind of take everything personally, somebody else telling me I'm doing something wrong, because every ADHDer gets about 70 critical comments a day, and so they're a little bit sensitive to anything that looks like criticism. And what you want to do is teach them how to handle things so that it's not always personal, that it's not always a personal attack or a personal affront or something like that. It's just, this happened. It's not that big a deal. Let's figure out how we can fix it next time. And that's the kind of attitude you want to have with your ADHD. Or you don't want to be a blame gamer, because that is death. That'll cause all kinds of problems, and they're unnecessary, and you'll end up feeling bad, and so will your ADHDer, and it just makes things way more difficult. So, okay, that's kind of a rough look at cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically a way to handle your emotions and control them and be able to keep from getting extreme emotions. And you also need to identify your favorite bad thoughts, favorite bad emotions, because your favorite bad emotions come from your favorite bad thoughts. Oh, I'm a loser. I can't ever do anything right. It's not happy making. And for some people, that'll make them depressed. And for other people, might just make them a little bit angry. Uh, so, got to write a couple of notes so I know what I'm going to be doing next time. Okay, that is me for today. And if you have questions, I do go over my notes. I do no my note. I do go over when you guys send me some comments and that sort of thing, and I actually appreciate getting some comments. And let me know what you need more of or what you need less of, and we'll try to comply. Okay, and my website, terrygingrassphd.com. Got some offers, some things. I do coaching. I do quite a lot of it actually, and but I still have some spaces right now. And coaching, if you're not familiar with it, is a way of um, you kind of come in picking your problem and what the thing you want to work on, and there are different techniques and such that we use to try to help you get there. I'm big on high performance. I believe we can all improve our lives and get to higher levels and that sort of thing. And there are techniques for getting there. Okay, catch you next time. And remember, we're trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. Okay, bye now.